Hi everyone, yes, so good morning, an amazing welcome to our discussion of this new month, your Mona Lisa, you in your season, your choice that we have being woman and being birthed in seasons. Today with Mirabia Elise, I want us to allow ourselves to get familiar and to listen to us in season, right? We have educated during this season about the familiarization, the requirement of having to get familiar with you in your season. And therefore, with our Mona Lisa discussion today, I want us to listen to the sound in season. Yes, we have our Mona Lisa discussions during this season. It is an amazing autumn season for New Zealand, and we are outdoors during this season, right? We are where our generation finds themselves at in this season. It is that a generation has learned that there is a lot required of our generation. And when there's a lot required, we look at the setting of our generation, where it is that we find ourselves at within any season. And therefore, with today's discussion, I want us to really allow ourselves to listen to a generation that has a choice, right? A choice of a woman that has given birth to a generation itself. And when we listen to the sound that is required of us in season, we listen to the outdoors of our generation within our season. We listen to where is it that we find ourselves at in our season of choice. It is that when we familiarize ourselves with what we are being challenged with, and we are going to constantly remind ourselves of the familiarization of our generation. And when we allow ourselves to get familiar with that we are challenged with, we allow ourselves to listen to, is it that our generation finds themselves in the outdoors, or is it that our generation finds themselves in the indoors of a season? We are reminded that seasons are that speaks for itself, right? It represents itself. It requires our generation to get familiar with the sound that comes along with every change of season, with the appearance, the visibility that is, the every reaction that is a season itself. We familiarize ourselves to listen to the different seasons that a generation and that this universe brings forth in every different season that it comes along. We allow ourselves to listen to the winter sound of the rainy days, right? The spring sound of the soft birds tweeting outside, right? The autumn leaves falling down, and the visibility of that is the sound that echoes in a generation. It is that we remind ourselves with the quietness of a summer season, the hotness of it, sometimes the weather itself speaks itself in that is the every season that becomes the every choice of a generation of a woman. A generation that is not only the woman because he has given birth, but there is the woman because he's born a woman, and because the children that is known and that he's familiar with in a season is the children from the womb of a woman, and therefore her choice in season is a choice that colors life itself. And when we surround ourselves with listening to that echoes concerning the womb of her, I remind myself of the autumnness of her womb. I remind myself of the color that speaks for itself within her womb. I remind myself of where I find myself at, a woman, the seventh birth daughter from the womb of my mama Anna. I remind myself that between every daughter were born a man, right? We have 4 brothers, right? And between every woman, there was a man birthed from the womb of my mama Anna. And I remind myself that there was only 2 years between the birth of the next generation of person, right? and we were 7 children that came out of the womb of my mama Anna. And when I educate in season, I educate from the womb of the mama Anna that has given birth to 7 children. The mama Anna that is my mama Anna, that there's so many names that we mention her by, because she's got a lot of stories that everyone, the excitement of everyone that speaks of the womb of mama Anna Martha, that speaks of the womb of mama Anna Yapi, that speaks of the womb of mama Anna Kialeenloper, that speaks of the womb of mama Anna from Ceres, that speaks of the womb of mama Anna of the 1969 Tulbach earthquake, that speaks of the womb of mama Anna from Powell community, that speaks of the womb of mama Anna who used to work at Powell Hospital, that speaks of the womb of the mama Anna woman, that the Bible today, the book of life today, that educates a generation, educates from the womb of the mama Anna, that was the prophet woman that was walking the surface of the very earth. I'm reminded that my mama Anna represents exactly that, that when we look upon a generation in season, we allow ourselves to listen to what is the requirement of parenting within a season, what is the requirement of the choice that the women from the house of mama Anna make concerning themselves about the every generation that we have been educated, that we have been introduced to. And today, my sister Antoinette has given birth to 3 daughters. Yes, and they are excitedly born in the United Kingdom. And yes, 1 boy, baby Ezra. And the women today are representing exactly that of the grandmama Hannah. They don't want anything to tell them what they are doing. They are firm with the choices that they make in life. They are well-educated, well-mannered women, and they are really allowing that education that is educated to them within this season. It is that sometimes as parents we want to control so much about our households, right? My daughter Kiara is growing up, right? And she's in a season where she wants to listen to how is it that she needs to represent in her season, the choice that she makes concerning herself in a season. She's exactly that independent woman that I'm reminded of, that comes from the womb of a mama, that mama had to leave the house at a very young age to go and work in another household, to go and parent another household, right? Kiara growing up and had to also listen to that. That is now not the requirement of Mama Rabia Elise, but the choice of Kiara Hannah in a season, the choice of Kiara Hannah with where she finds herself at in school, the choice of Kiara Hannah that when she is in the household, she decides to have us learn that she makes the choice concerning herself, and the parenting is that choices that we make being parents in our households. And therefore today, with the color of life itself in our season, we learn to listen to how is it that our seasons voices for itself, that when we make a choice, that choice is exactly that brings forth a next season, that brings forth a next generation. That is where we are at with our choices within our season, the choice of the woman within her season. It is that we learn that the color of season breathes life into our very veins, right? And when we give birth from life, and we give birth into life, right? It is that we have learned that we take hands with where we are at in this that we call the amazing colors of the universe, the amazing colors of life itself. It is that when you allow yourself to listen to your season, you allow yourself to learn to be ready for the next season that you find yourself at. That is exactly what we are being educated concerning concerning our people and concerning humanity on earth. It is that choices that we make as human beings that we have learned there's the right, there's the wrong about it, and we have mentioned this in our discussion last month, that the wrong about it is not necessarily wrong, but it is that someone else might not agree with. It is that someone else has been educated differently. It is that brings a different environment forth, and therefore we decide to call it a wrong in our generation, so that we learn about the firmness concerning that is the difference, the uniqueness of everyone that forms part of humanity on earth. It is that when we learn and when we listen to the choices that we make in season, we learn and we listen to exactly that is the birth of a next season, the birth of a next generation, the birth of a next baby into a new generation. It is that when you listen to being ready to arrive in your season, you listen with allowing yourself to be ready to arrive in your seasons. It is that seasons comes 4 years, and that sometimes is challenging. It sometimes has its on days, its off days, its rights, its wrongs concerning it. And therefore, when there is that you do not understand what is happening in your season, you allow yourself to exactly arrive with that is the something new in your season, the different introduction to a new season. It is that when our generation, the parliament leaders looked upon the different countries, they said, but the world is ever changing. It's global warming everywhere, right? But it is that requirement to arrive within the different seasons that appear and that we are being introduced to. It is that readiness, that firmness, that when we find ourselves on this amazing journey called life, we allow ourselves to listen to and to accept the different seasons that life introduces to us. So yes, today with our Evoke Fashion voice, we also educate to be ready to arrive with your season, because Rabia Elise is now not going to be the Rabia Elise that now appears in church and that now has everything on that's required from the church community, but Rabia Elise finds herself in a season educating a different community of people that is now not only the church community, there is now not only the community of Paul, there is now not only the community of elders that where she grew up at, the education was exactly that, but there is now the international community that requires the education to include everyone and to therefore allow everyone to arrive in their seasons. It is that Rabia Elise's choices in the season is going to be different. The way that she educates in the season is going to be different. The way that she voices from the same womb of Mama Anna is gonna be a different way of voicing it, because he's educating in that environment. There is exactly every color of humanity. There is exactly every different country, every different requirement, every different religion, every different traditional choice, every different choice that we make as young people. There is exactly the baby from the womb that's being educated. There is exactly also the elder in the house that's even listening in and even being educated in his season, in her season also. It is that when we allow ourselves to have that openness concerning our generation, we allow ourselves to have that acceptance when we understand that the seasons for a generation has changed, that yes, our generation has given birth to an amazing new season, an amazing new generation that allows themselves to accept that they listen to what is the requirement of them, what is the choice that they're gonna have to make concerning them, what is the choice that others are requiring them to make concerning where they are at in season, and therefore what is that they accept concerning the introduction of a new generation in season. It is there that the young people are eager to be out there and to be exploring and to be introduced to so much that is happening around them. But we have to still remind ourselves, and I'm gonna remind us every time of the rights and the wrongs concerning those choices that we are making, so that we do not aggress one another, and so that we do not have that someone else misinterprets what you are saying. Because remember, Mama Universe educated us that the languages are different, that the cultures are different, that there's the different ways of upbringing, that the household circumstances are different, that there's the different countries, that there's the different choices, different lifestyles. And therefore, when young people are eager today to go and introduce themselves and to be introduced to someone else, they need to accept that there is going to be the protectiveness concerning the right and the wrong of our generation. There is going to be that we are eager and excited to be introduced. But remember, when Rabia left Pal community had two mountains, right? The Booster Mountain and the Pal Community Mountain, Pal Mountain, and where the Tau Monument is 8 years in South Africa. And we remember that beyond the mountains was the community, and at the other side of the mountains was that I was introduced to. There was another community of people, and I remember those elders that educated me when I left Pal community, that really allowed me to listen to their education in season. Yes, they were teachers, and I was the bartender in the bar, and they were very firm about the choices that they made concerning themselves. Yes, and they were very firm on educating me that this is where they are at, and they are teachers. This is the choices that they are making. But the child in the room and the student in the room always needs to remain the student in the room, and therefore we always need to allow ourselves to be the students in the room. And that is that brings a generation of prosperity once again forth. That when you learn that languages are different, when you learn that every country is going to be different, then you allow yourself to listen to being the child in the room once again, listening with that is prosperous for you, prosperous for the next person in your season, or where you are at with the choice that you make in your season. It is that readiness to always arrive. And when you arrive, you always allow yourself to arrive with that is gonna be firm, that is gonna be protective, that is non-abusive, and that is gonna be non-depriving or non-depressive to someone else, right? It is that we learn that seasons are life itself. It is the opportunity of life itself. And when we accept exactly that, we accept that there is the family in general. We have mentioned it and our discussion of stronger, right? Yes, and we have mentioned that our generation are family, right? And with being family, we learn to accept that there is the seasons, there is life itself, right? There is your name, that when I mention my name, Rabia Elise, I understand my season, that I find myself within my name that I'm being birthed with, right? When you mention your name, you understand that is your name itself, and you accept that you have been birthed within. There is the season itself, and there is going to be a different season that you would find yourself in with where you are at. And that is the season of a woman, and that finds herself in a season, but understanding that a season is gonna have choices, right? And every choice is that we accept, that we allow upon ourselves, right? And when we allow things upon ourselves, we allow ourselves to listen to how is it that I appear within my season, and where is it that I appear and that I find myself at within the season that life introduces and that life educates concerning a generation. It is a generation of a woman that does not have to go and find out what fashion means to them, because with the Vogue business, we really firmly focus on the fashion voice of Rabia Elise, right? And people would want to have Rabia Elise really fashion in that is sometimes unique to where she's at. And with what I'm voicing, people want me to voice with where other fashionists are at in their season. And I voice exactly with where I'm at, with that natural Rabia Elise voice in a season, with that doesn't speak about what I need to go and order from a clothing store, but that voice and that educates from that where I find myself at in my season is the currentness of a Vogue business, the currentness of what I voice for with my business, and of what I educate in season. And it is that when you accept that, you accept yourself in your season. We are focused a lot on the selfness in 2022, on appreciating self, right? And we learn to allow that in our seasons. Yes, I think the battery is going low, and we are just going to just sort the battery out. Yes, so if there's still any recording, then we're gonna stop today with this part of the season of our generation seasons, which will be Elise.